Well, hey everyone, and welcome to our online experience. No matter what platform you're joining us on or listening from, it's such an honor that you've decided to spend the next hour or so with us today. Here at Central, our vision is to help you connect with God and with one another. And everything that we do revolves around those two things. One easy way to partner with us to help others get connected is by taking a moment to share this experience on whatever platform you're joining us on. Perhaps you can write a review, subscribe to our YouTube channel, or even leave a rating if you're a podcast listener, as it goes a long way in spreading the word about this amazing community of faith. Our chosen method for connection with others is groups, and we have 4 kinds of groups here at Central: community groups, small groups, interest groups, and support groups. You can visit our website at centralcc.ca/groups and search the list of different groups available. All of our groups are designed to help you find connection with others and to give you an opportunity to grow in your faith while connecting with God and others who are on the same journey. With so many options available, we know there is a group for everyone. Also, if you would like to worship through your giving and partner with us in this vision of helping others get connected, you can do that by heading over to our website at centralcc.ca/give. You can follow the prompts and schedule a one-time gift or set up regular ongoing giving. Thank you for believing in this vision and for being faithful in this way. Also, just a note from our accounting department that tax receipts for 2021 were sent out last week by email. If you did not receive your receipt or you have questions, please connect with them directly at accounting@centralcc.ca, and they will be happy to assist you. Thank you again for partnering with us in your giving. Today, I want to take a moment to let you know about a couple of things that are coming up here at Central. Many of you have been asking, how can you help with our upcoming move to York Road? As you can imagine, it's a big task to get this building packed up and begin setting up our new home. So for those looking for a way to help, on Friday, March 25th and Saturday, March 26th, from 9 to 5, you can join us here at Scott Street as we start to move. We're looking for people that have a truck or a van that they could bring for us to load up with boxes and furniture to move over to York Road. If heavy lifting isn't your thing, we'll have lots of other jobs for people, like packing boxes here and unpacking and organizing things at York Road. We'll have 2 time slots available, 9 to 1 and 1 to 5. So you can sign up for 1 or 2 time slots, one day or both, whatever works for your schedule. If you're able to help out in any way, let us know by texting the word MOVE to 905-937-5610, and someone will follow up with you on the details. The saying goes that many hands make light work, so whatever help you can offer, we will be so grateful. Okay, parents, this is your last chance to mark your calendars for this Friday, March 11th as date night. Our Central Kids and Youth are hosting a free date night drop-off from 6 to 9 p.m. to help you plan a night to do whatever you want without interruptions while they keep the kids entertained. This is open for kids ages newborn to grade 5 and space is limited. So text date night to 905-937-5610 to reserve a spot for your kids. And lastly, today, if you have not joined us recently for our in-person experience, we want to let you know that with last week's provincial announcement of capacity restrictions being removed, we are now open with full capacity for both our in-person experience and Central Kids programming on Sundays. You no longer need to register to join us in person. If it's been a while since you have joined us in person, we would love to see you and your family at Scott Street location for our 9, 10:30, or 12 experience. Again, if you have any questions about anything we have mentioned today, simply text the word CENTRAL to 905-937-5610 or head over to our website, centralcc.ca/connect. It is your best resource to stay updated on everything happening each week. And that is all from me. We are so excited you have joined us today. Our online experience is about to begin, and it all starts right now.
Hey, thanks for joining us today. I want to invite you to worship with us, to sing, to give God everything you got right there, right where you are. Join us. Arise, my soul, remember this. He took my sin and he buried it. No longer I who live. Now Jesus lives in me, for I was dead in sin, but I woke up to see the light.
that saved my soul. All else is lost. The grip of fear has no hold on me. So where, oh death, where is your sting?
No longer I who live. Now Jesus lives in me. For I was dead in sin, but I woke up to see the light.
All of this for your glory. 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 All of this for your glory.
No longer I who live. Now Jesus lives in me. For I was dead in sin, but I woke up to see the light.
All of this for your glory. All
can trust him right now. Yes, you can trust him. That he knows what you're going through. That he knows what he's gonna do to get you through. Oh, we trust you, God. Even though we don't understand, we say we trust you. And we won't give up, no, no. We'll stay steady. We'll stay strong in you.
Today, we begin a brand new series called It's Time to Move. And the basic idea is that life is motion. And when you stop moving, you atrophy. It's actually the opposite of truly living. And moving can be really exciting and fun and adventurous, but can also be really uncertain and scary, maybe even terrifying. I realize that right now there's a lot of moving parts in our culture, and so we want to talk about that. But we're also moving as a church family, and so we're looking forward to our new building on Easter Sunday. As a matter of fact, I want you to know that even right now at Scott Street, we are wide open again. You don't have to register online. You can just show up. Lots is moving, lots is changing, and hopefully the next 6 weeks will prepare you as an individual for movement in your life, what God wants to do, but also for us as a church family. How can we move really, really well? And to get ready for this series, we really did a deep dive into the book of Joshua. Now, I love this book. This book is filled with adventure and new things and failures, but victories. And it's such a great book. But as I was preparing for today, I had to start where you start. Joshua 1, verse 1 and 2. And what was interesting about it was it gave me a moment for pause, because here's what it says in Joshua 1:2. It says, after the death of Moses, the servant of the Lord said to Joshua, son of Nun, Moses' aide, his right-hand man, second in command, Moses, my servant, is dead. And I'll be honest, it was a bit of a bummer. I was really excited to get into the story. And the first thing is Moses is dead. Why did it say it twice? First he dies and then God tells Joshua, why is it there? And I came to a startling realization. I think it'll be helpful for you because it was so helpful for me. And the reality is that for there to be change, grief is a necessary process. That unless something changes in motion, we can't experience something new. And grief is a major part of that. And that was so helpful for me because if you were here live in one of our experiences, I just shared candidly that for about 2 weeks ago, I went through 3 days of deep emotion. I'll start there. I didn't understand. I had all these weird emotions, like I was angry and I didn't want to get out of bed and I was not motivated and everything was irritating me. And I couldn't figure out why. And then when I read this again, that's what that was. I was grieving and I didn't know it, because grief is a natural response to loss. And when things change, there is loss. And I came to realize that for the last couple of years, we've lost a lot. And it also opened my eyes to the conversations I was having around me. As people were talking and processing all these emotions, a lot of them negative, I realized, oh, they're grieving. And maybe if we could learn to grieve really well, it would set us up for what God wants to do, but because we have to grieve. We have to grieve. Dr. Gary Collins said it this way: grief is a normal response to the loss of any significant person, object, or opportunity. And so as I was researching this, I wrote this in my journal. It's a little lengthy, but bear with me. Basically, grief is about coming to terms with the fact that things will never be the same again. Oh, is that ever true? Something is lost and it's never coming back. It's even in the language say, let's get back to normal. What is normal? It's never going to be like it was ever again. It may be something obvious or tragic, like the death of a family member or a friend, a divorce, a disability, a loss of your innocence. Or it may be a more natural loss, like your health, your youth, your beauty, your strength. It can be a circumstance, like the death of a dream, the feeling that you've lost the way things used to be, whether in your personal life, in your relationships, or in the country that you love. It can be leaving something behind, leaving home for the first time, retiring, graduating, moving to a new country or city, leaving a church that you've belonged to all of your life, or having your church move to a new location. It is the loss of a financial success and adventure, freedom, opportunities, loss of control or recognition or status. It can be a crippling fear of uncertainty or the anticipation that something bad is going to happen. Grief is everywhere. And my guess is maybe you didn't know it, but you're grieving. And maybe you're not necessarily grieving as an individual, but I can tell you something right now. As a church family, we're grieving. As a country, we are grieving. As the world right now, we are grieving. Because something has shifted, something has changed. It's been lost. So then I had to ask myself, Bill, what are you going to do about it? It's one thing to acknowledge it, right? And go, whoa, that's almost overwhelming. It was like a wave. It just swept me away in my mind and in my heart and my motivation. So what are you going to do about it? So I look back into this story because Joshua was grieving. The nation of Israel was grieving. Moses, their leader, was dead. It was never going to be the same again. They'd come out of Egypt, they'd wandered through the wilderness, and they're going into a new reality, and it's uncertain. It's scary. There's giants, there's battles to be won and fought. They don't know how to do that. They have no government structure. They don't know. So they're grieving. And as a matter of fact, in Deuteronomy, it tells us they grieved for 30 days. My really good friend, Agnes Vries, who's a psychologist, and she's helped me through many of my own personal issues, said it is a misnomer to say that we can just get past our grief. It's not helpful when we say that. Oh, just get over it. No, we can't. Instead, we have to learn to live with it and modify our reactions and regulate our feelings in the midst of our grief. Have you ever wondered why there's a whole book in the Bible called Lamentations? It's the book of grief. Did you realize that a lot of the Psalms are the psalmists, the songwriters just expressing their deep grief? Ecclesiastes, it's about grief. Grief is essential because life is moving. It is time to move in your personal life, as a church, as a country, and as the world. It is, but we have to grieve well so we can get to the place we are supposed to be. So maybe you're here and you're still, you don't believe me. You're like, no, I'm not in grief. Well, actually, that's the first stage of grief, denial. I'm not in grief. And so I dug back into the psychology, the 5 stages of grief. And I have to go through these really quickly, but I hope that they help you. Maybe you'll recognize one in your life. It's kind of like the lights on your dashboard. When they flash, yeah, you better pay attention because it means something is really wrong. The light itself isn't the problem. And so as I go through these, maybe something will signal to you, oh man, I do have this and I need to deal with it because I want you to win. I want you to grieve well because on the other side, I don't want to get too ahead of myself, but something better is coming. I believe that. So the first stage of grief is denial. It's when we say, this isn't really happening. It's not really that bad. I've done this. I'm good. It's all good. I could do this. And maybe you can't. Maybe you can't. It's the denial that says, oh, you can't believe everything you hear, or you can't believe them or that or whatever. It's denial that anything is actually wrong. And actually, that's a survival mechanism. Your brain can only handle so much pain. And so when it gets overwhelming, it starts to shut out the things it can't deal with. So denial is normal. It's a survival mechanism, but you can't stay there because if you do, the problem with denial is it ignores the pain and it tries to mask the problem. It's kind of like putting a Band-Aid on an open wound without actually getting it stitched up or antibiotics. It doesn't fix the problem. And so the solution to denial is simply to acknowledge, I had to come to that stage. Bill, you're grieving. And that's okay. It was okay for me to take a step back and go, yeah, you know what? I haven't actually processed some of the pain I feel because of the things that I've lost. And maybe, again, it doesn't help to compare. It's like, I know your reaction is, well, your losses isn't bad in mine. That doesn't help because each of us in our own way experience grief and loss and pain. So you just have to acknowledge it. That's the first step. The second thing, well, actually, let me talk about Lamentations, that book of pain. In Lamentations 1:16, the author says, this is why I weep and my eyes overflow with tears. No one is near to comfort me, no one to restore my spirit. My children are destitute because the enemy has prevailed. And maybe you feel like that, and that's okay. But it's not okay to stay there. The second sign is anger. And this is an intense expression or emotion. And I realized, man, I was getting angry at everybody and everything. Like my phone would ring and I was angry. I didn't even know who was on. I was just like angry. I don't want to deal with that. And things were setting me off. And here's the deal about anger. Anger isn't bad in itself because it's a warning sign that something deeper is the problem. But if you let it have its way, the problem is it actually isolates you, cuts you off from people and the very things that you need for your healing. And so it can isolate you and others. That's the problem with anger. I know that firsthand. So what's the solution? Well, you need to learn to manage it, acknowledge that also are leaning into their losses, and have empathy. Replace your anger with empathy. This week I was coaching my girls and I realized I was getting a little short with them all the time. And so I actually apologized. It was weird. I broke down. I was like, it's not fair that you don't get to have OFSA this year and SASA. And I'm like trying to pull it together. And I realized in that moment, I'd replaced my anger with empathy, that we're all in this together. It's all of our loss. Ephesians 4:26-7 says, in your anger, do not sin. Do not let the sun go down while you are still angry, and do not give the devil a foothold. The third is called bargaining. It's our way of trying to control the narrative, okay? We say things like, well, if only they had this, then this, right? Or if only that hadn't happened to me, then I wouldn't be here. Or we even bargain with God. Religious people love this. Well, God said, so God will. Well, what if he doesn't, right? We think of this bargaining, and the problem with this, when we try to control the narrative, and it's called social media, that's what we do. The problem with this is that it justifies our ignorance and our poor behavior by blaming and shaming. Whew. I have to read that again because it hit me. It justifies our own ignorance and our poor behavior by blaming and shaming. So what's the solution when you're bargaining, when you're trying to go, well, it's not me, it's this or that or the other thing. It's to direct your pain and ask yourself, what is my burden to carry? In Matthew 11, chapter 11, verses 28-30, Jesus said, come to me, all you who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest. Take my yoke upon you and learn from me, for I am gentle and humble in heart, and you will find rest for your souls. For my yoke is easy and my burden is light. So wait a minute, Jesus, which burden am I supposed to pick up? Well, the first burden is the world's burden, unrealistic expectations you have of yourself, things you weren't designed to carry. The difference with Jesus, those two words are actually different words in the Greek. Jesus says, I will tell you what you can do and who you are. And if you just live in that, it will work. So I have to process, what is mine really to carry? What is my responsibility? I can't fix what's happening in Europe. I can't fix what's happening in Canada necessarily. All I can do is fix me and let God use me to help others find freedom too. The fourth stage is depression. And again, these are linear. It's not like you go from one to the other like some kind of index. No, they can be circular and you can hit one and not another. They're just ways, like I said, like alarms on your dashboard. And the other one is depression. And I don't need to explain that to you because if you felt it, you know the pain. And it cripples you from really living. And so what's the solution to depression? Well, it's get help and surround yourself with people who are going to be life-giving, not death-speaking. And so Galatians 6:2 says, carry each other's burdens. There's that word again. Sometimes I can't carry it. I need someone who can help me carry it. And in this way, you will fulfill the law of Christ. And then finally, it's acceptance. The problem with acceptance is that some things, we say things like just snap out of it, but you can't. Pain is pain, loss is loss. Just accept that sometimes life is unfair. Sometimes, I'm going to use a strong language, I suppose, in preaching. Life sucks. It does. And it's okay to just admit that and go, right now, I'm really struggling. It really hurts, but it's also trying to figure out how to move beyond that. It's accepting that's the way it is. Okay, I accept that. Moses is dead, Joshua, but there's something else. And so don't get stuck there. Yes, acknowledge it, but accept that happened. It was unfair. It should never have happened. Whatever you need to do to find healing, but don't get stuck. It's time to move. And so I want to encourage you to take your own journey out of this. You can't change the past. You can simply learn how to cope and not hurt each other in the process. Can I say that again? You can't change the past. You can simply learn how to cope and how not to hurt others in the process. So I want you just to take a moment right now to just ask yourself, what am I grieving? And how am I responding? And what is God saying to me right now? Because the reality is we all grieve. We just don't all grieve well.
People think we're more divided as a country now than we've been in a long time. I know it can seem that way, but when I was a little kid in 1969, the Vietnam War was tearing the country apart. And they'd shot John F. Kennedy and they'd shot Bobby Kennedy. They'd shot Martin Luther King and Malcolm X. And there was the Manson family and the Zodiac killer, and it just felt like the whole country had lost its mind. My father, who'd grown up in the Depression, well, his faith in humanity was just at a low ebb. And the two of us that June were driving from LA to Oakland in an old 1960 Oldsmobile, and the water pump blew out south of Bakersfield. And so this was long before cell phones, so we were gonna have to hoof it like 9 or 10 miles into town when this young cowboy pulls up in a flatbed and offers to tow us in. And all my dad had on him for money was this old Chevron gas card, so he kept telling this young fella, I can't pay you. And the young cowboy's looking at him like, yeah, I wasn't gonna charge you. So he rolls us into town, and this is a Sunday, so nothing's open. So he has to go get his mechanic friend to open up his garage, and my dad says, hey, listen, I don't have any money. And the mechanic says, we'll work something out. And then they all realize they don't have the actual parts, so now they got to go roust out the local auto parts store owner, and they bring him down. And my father's like, okay, we need to talk about how this is all going to get settled, because he just couldn't imagine anybody being this trusting about the money. So the cowboy says, look, if it'd make you feel better, I got a bunch of watermelons I need to get loaded onto my flatbed, and it's pretty hot work, and if you help me out, I'll pay for the part. So next thing you know, we're all unloading watermelons from inside a rail car. That's about 140 degrees. And 90 minutes later, we are soaked in sweat. And up rolls the car, just running like a top. And my dad says, I really don't know how to thank you, fellas, and for this good turn. And we're turning to go, and the mechanic gets this look on his face and says, whoa, where do you think you're going? And you could see on my father's face just all the fear and distrust come to the surface. And he stiffened like a leopard. And the mechanic says, no. My wife's going to make us all Sunday dinner, and you and the boy can get a shower and a clean shirt, and it'll make the drive easier for all of us. So we sat down for a dinner of fried chicken from the chicken right over there, and corn on the cob from the corn right over there. And man, I got to tell you, we'll never have a meal that good ever again. And my dad didn't say maybe 3 words the whole drive, but when we got home, I got into bed, and I was just about to turn off the light, and he stops in the doorway, and he says to me, no matter what you see in the movies or on TV or you read in the papers, you listen to me. That's how people really are. And about a month later, Neil Armstrong walked on the moon. So, keep the faith.
So I love that story because it reframes loss and grief. In a world where grief is prevalent, it's everywhere. It reminds us that actually the purpose in life is people. And life is going to be difficult and challenging. And I hope those 5 stages of grief helped you. And again, you can go online or you can find the 5 stages of grief and process them in your own way. Or you can get help. Call us. If we can't help you, we'll connect you to someone and maybe a professional who can. You are not alone. That's the point. We grieve together. Jesus said when one part of the body or the church hurts, we all hurt. That's the point. But it's not enough to express your grief. You have to learn how to direct it. There's a lot of people standing up for things right now. They're standing up for this cause or that ideology, or that political party, or against that thing. And we as followers of Christ, we stand with people, regardless of their religious affiliation, their background, their story, their political allegiance. We stand with people. That's what Jesus did. He came into this world to stand with people who were grieving. Jesus said, "Blessed are those who mourn, for they will be comforted." So what did happen for Joshua? Well, let's keep reading. After God said Moses is dead, he said, "Now then, you and all these people, get ready to cross the Jordan River into the land I'm about to give to them, to the Israelites." You see, acceptance isn't just going, "Oh, that was awful, it was painful." That's part of it. But acceptance is believing that God is in control, that God is still doing something good. It doesn't mean what happened to you is good. It's not just rolling over and going, "Well, this is just my lot in life." No, it's saying, "God, I cry out to you because you're my only hope. I'm going to trust you. I'm going to choose to do what you're calling me to do. Help me find my way out of my grief by standing with people." And if there's anything I can encourage you with today, as we begin this new series, it's time to move. I believe God wants to do something new in you today, not tomorrow, regardless of what happened yesterday, today. And all you have to do is be open and be ready. That's what the rest of the series is really all about. And so, yes, something new is happening, and I can't wait. I can't wait for the new Bill on the other side of this grief. I don't know how I'm going to make it, but I do know God's going to help me. And I know sometimes people, meaning well, say, God can never give you more than you can bear. And sometimes I don't know. Sometimes it's pretty overwhelming, but I do know that God walks with me through it. He doesn't always take it away. He's just there with me through it. And a new Bill is coming out on the other side. I believe that. I believe a new country is coming out on the other side of this. I believe that. I believe a new way of thinking about the world is coming out on the other side. And if we're willing, it can be really good. And so what are some practical steps as we close really quickly today? First is just acknowledge your grief. It hurts, and it's okay to say that. Second, surround yourself with people who can help you. You can't do this alone. You can't. And you weren't wired and designed for it. And I'm not talking about people who drag you down too. I'm not talking about people who can't elevate you, but surround yourself. This is the power of the church. If you haven't been coming, come to church in person. We need you and you need us. Get in a group. Get connected to people. And you say, "Well, I don't want to." I know you don't. But it's the way out, because others can, or maybe further on the journey, can pull you there too. Recognize you're not alone. And finally, get ready. Get ready. I'm going to use a word, a Christianese word. If I could say it prophetically, that's the word I want to use. I want to speak into your future. Get ready. God is doing something new. And I know it hurts right now, and I know you can't see the way out, but I promise you, God's got something greater. And so as I close, I want to bless you by reading Psalm 34, 17 to 18. This is my blessing for you today. The righteous cry out, and the Lord hears them. He delivers them from all their troubles. The Lord is close to the brokenhearted and saves those who are crushed in spirit. And with that, I bless you in the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen.
Well, thanks so much for joining us today, and we'd love to challenge you to consider, what is your next step? Maybe today you realize that you'd like to take a next step in following in the ways of Jesus. We realize that everyone is at a different spot on their journey of faith, and as a church, our mission is really just to help you get connected to God and each other. And so if you made a decision to begin following in the ways of Jesus, or you'd like more information on what that looks like, simply text the word CENTRAL to 905-937-5610, or head over to our website and click the Next Step button to see some ways that you can take that next step in your journey. Maybe you'd like to get connected in a group and explore your faith with others. The best way to do that is by heading over to our groups page at centralcc.ca/groups and find a group that best fits you. If you're joining us at the 10:30 experience, why not click the link in the chat area now and join us for Encore, an after-service conversation. This is a great opportunity to ask questions, talk through the discussion questions coming up next, or just talk about today's message with some of our leaders. If you have any questions on how to get connected, simply head over to our website, centralcc.ca, or text the word CENTRAL to 905-937-5610, and you will find everything you need there on how to get connected. Well, that is all from me. We hope you have an amazing week, and we look forward to seeing you back here next week.